My entitled parents sold the family house to fund my spoiled sister's engagement party, then lived rent-free at my place. Now they're in the streets on Christmas, while I make up for all the birthdays I never got. All right, so I'm 34 male, married, and apparently the designated background character in my own family's life story. I made this throwaway because, well, if my mom ever found this, she'd probably stage a prayer circle about how I've betrayed her or some crap. Anyway, quick PSA for anyone planning on having a kid. Do not, under any circumstances, conceive in March. Trust me. Because if you do, congratulations, you've just cursed your kid with what I like to call the Christmas hangover birthday. And guess who pulled the short straw on that one? Yep, yours truly. I was born on December 28th, which basically means for 34 years, I've been living in the shadow of Christmas. And before you ask, yeah, it sucks. Everyone always gives me the same line. Ha ha ha, must be rough having your birthday so close to Christmas. And I just laugh because apparently sarcasm is cheaper than therapy. Now, let me explain why it's not just a little inconvenient. If you're a kid with a normal birthday, you get two separate things: the magic of Christmas and a birthday that's just about you. Balloons, cake, your name and icing. Me? My childhood birthdays were basically DLC content for Christmas. I'd get the classic line, "Here's your Christmas and birthday present," every single year. Like, wow, thanks, Mom. Love how Jesus and I have to split a gift. One year I specifically asked for a PlayStation game for my birthday. Guess what? I opened it on Christmas morning. My mom pats my shoulder and goes, "That's your birthday gift too, honey. Don't expect more. Nice." Meanwhile, my sister Emily, we'll get to her circus act in a second, is opening a pile of gifts on January 10th with all the fanfare of a royal coronation. And the cake? Forget about it. At 13, I asked for a cake with Happy Birthday Matt on it. What did I get? A leftover Christmas cake with Santa Claus piped on the top. Not even my name. Just Santa grinning like, "Sorry, kid, I stole your spotlight again." My Aunt Lisa literally asked, "Wait, whose cake is this supposed to be?" My mom shrugged and said, "It's all the same." Yeah, thanks, Mom. My entire existence summed up, all the same. And then there's the annual family trip. Every year, my dad loads us into the car and drives 4 hours to Uncle Joe's house for the big family Christmas. Some years, Aunt Stacy hosts instead, also 4 hours away. Guess which weekend that always lands on? Yep, my birthday. So my birthday tradition became watching my cousins open round 2 of presents while I got maybe one pity happy birthday whispered as someone reached for mashed potatoes. Now, I could maybe survive all that if it was just about Christmas being a juggernaut. But nah, in my family, there's another main character hogging the camera. My sister Emily, aka the Golden Child. Emily has been the star since day one. She's 2 years older than me, born January 10th, and she's the kind of person who could trip on the stairs and somehow get a standing ovation for it. She always got the best gifts, the most attention, and the loudest applause. When we were kids, I saved up for this cheap RC car I really wanted. First day I brought it home, Emily decided she had to test drive it. Straight into a puddle. Dead on arrival. I was crushed. Mom's reaction? "Don't make a fuss. Your sister didn't mean it. You should share." Then she made Emily hot chocolate and told me to be nicer. That was the first of about 1,000 times I realized in my family, Emily could commit a war crime and still get cocoa after. She's also greedy. Like, Olympic-level greedy? If I ever mentioned I was saving up for something, 2 weeks later Emily was needing the same thing. I'd been saving for months to buy myself a decent laptop for school, literally stuffing cash in an envelope because I didn't trust myself with a card. Right when I was finally close, Emily suddenly decided she needed one too. And guess what? My parents took my savings envelope and told me it makes more sense for Emily to have it. She'll use it more. Dad's logic was, be practical, son. You'll get by with what you have. Right. Because apparently I was supposed to finish my assignments on a graphing calculator while Emily posted selfies on her shiny new laptop that I literally paid for. And if I ever called it out, Mom would hit me with, "Don't be jealous of your sister. She's got so much on her plate." What plate? The silver one they keep handing her? Dad would just mutter, "Son, don't start drama. Keep the peace," which is basically code for, "Shut up and let Emily have it." And then came the wedding incident. This is the one that still makes people's jaws drop when I tell it. So, Sarah, my now wife, and I planned a simple wedding. Nothing crazy, we're not rich, and we didn't want to be. We rented a community hall, did BBQ catering, because we actually like food that tastes good, strung up some lights, and kept it about us. My parents, Dad said, "We'll see," when I asked for help hauling chairs, which is his way of saying no. Mom promised to handle desserts, and then showed up with 2 store-bought pies, acting like she just catered the royal banquet. Whatever. We weren't expecting much from them anyway. The big day comes. I'm nervous, but excited. Sarah looks amazing. We do our vows, people clap, everything's fine. Then we get to the reception, and my best man Luis is telling funny stories about our college days. Aunt Lisa says something sweet about watching me grow up. It's nice. It feels right. Then, Emily. She struts up to the DJ table like she owns the place. Grabs the mic. "Hi, everyone. Just a quick announcement." She holds up her left hand. Giant, shiny ring on her finger. "Derek proposed." The room claps automatically because that's what people do. I clapped once, then stopped. Because what the hell? This was my wedding. My day. And she just turned it into her engagement party. Mom? Tears streaming down her face. "Oh, my baby girl, this is the best news ever." She hugs Emily like she just returned from war. Dad stands up, claps, and says, "To Emily and Derek, this family just keeps getting blessed." And I'm standing there with Sarah thinking, did my dad just toast her engagement at my wedding? And it didn't stop there. Emily requested her special song from the DJ, so she and Derek could have a moment on the dance floor. People crowded around them. Meanwhile, Sarah and I cut our cake with half the room missing because they were taking selfies of Emily's ring. There's literally a photo of me feeding Sarah cake, and right behind us, you can see Emily holding her hand up with the ring while 3 cousins admire it. My wedding pictures look like promo shots for her engagement. Later, Mom cornered Sarah and said, "Sweetie, you'll help us plan Emily's bridal shower, won't you? You're so good at this stuff." At my wedding. Not congratulations or you look beautiful. Just recruiting her as free labor for Emily's next big event. The kicker? More people flew across the country for Emily's wedding later that year than mine. Our day was nice, but hers was the event of the year. Mom's exact words. They spent thousands on hers, bragged about how amazing it was, and if my wedding ever came up in conversation, it got brushed aside with, "Oh, that was sweet." So after the whole wedding fiasco, yes, I'm still mad. Don't worry. You'd think my parents would, maybe, I don't know, chill out for a bit. Maybe let me have a win. Nope. If you thought stealing my wedding wasn't enough, buckle up because this one made me question if I was in some kind of hidden camera show. It started with Emily's engagement. After she hijacked my wedding to announce it, my parents went into full planning mode for her. I'm talking spreadsheets, color-coded binders, Pinterest boards, all for the engagement party. Not even the wedding, just the pre-party to celebrate the fact that Derek managed to buy a ring. Now keep in mind, my parents aren't rich. Dad worked at a car dealership for most of my life. Mom did part-time stuff here and there. They're comfortable, but not throw a luxury party comfortable. So when they started talking about renting a fancy venue, catering, a live band, I was like, with what money? Mom waved her hand and said, "Don't worry about it, son. We'll handle it." That's her classic line when she's about to do something completely reckless, but wants you to not say a word about it. Fast forward a month, I get a knock on my door. It's Mom and Dad, both of them standing there with suitcases. Sarah looks at me like, "What is happening?" I ask, "What's with the luggage?" Dad, all casual, goes, "So, funny story. We sold the house." I thought he was joking. I actually laughed. "Ha, yeah, right." But nope. Mom's nodding like this is totally normal. We needed the money for Emily's engagement party. It's going to be so beautiful, you'll see. Anyway, we don't have a place right now, so we'll just stay here for a bit. I swear my brain short-circuited. You sold your house to pay for Emily's engagement party? Not her wedding. The party before the wedding. Mom goes, "Well, it's important. She deserves to feel special. And besides, we'll find another place eventually. This is just temporary." Sarah was standing next to me, clutching the door like she might slam it shut. She said, "You didn't even ask us?" Mom frowned like Sarah had just farted in church. "Ask? We're family. Of course we'll stay here. You have the space." And just like that, they moved in. And here's the kicker. The engagement party they sold their house for wasn't even some low-key backyard BBQ. Oh no. They went full tilt, rented out my Aunt Stacy's country club ballroom, hired a live band, had ice sculptures. People flew in from 3 different states just to watch Emily cry happy tears under a ceiling of fairy lights. Meanwhile, Sarah and I were eating off paper plates at our wedding reception a few months before. But sure, this was the big priority. I've got a 3-bedroom house. One's ours, one's Sarah's office, one's a guest room. Guess which one they took? Not the guest room. No, Mom said the guest room was too small for us and took over Sarah's office. Moved her desk into the garage like it was some folding chair. Sarah was fuming, but she tried to be polite. From day one, it was chaos. Dad parked his truck in my driveway like he owned it, blocking Sarah's car more than once. Mom started reorganizing my kitchen cabinets because your system doesn't make sense. She filled the fridge with casseroles and cheese dishes, even though Sarah can't eat dairy. Sarah said, "Mom, remember I can't eat this stuff?" Mom smiled sweetly and said, "Oh, you'll be fine, dear. Just have a little. It won't kill you." The entitlement was unreal. They never offered rent money. They never asked before inviting Emily over. Half the time, I'd come home from work, and Emily would already be there, raiding my pantry. Once I caught her in the garage going through my toolbox because Derek needed a wrench. Didn't ask, just helped herself. I tried to keep it together. I told myself it was temporary, but every day it felt more like they thought my house was theirs. Dad even joked once, "This place is starting to feel like home, huh?" I said, "It's not supposed to." He just laughed. The worst part? They acted like they were doing me a favor by being there. Mom would say, "You're lucky we're here to keep you company. This house must feel so empty otherwise." Empty? It was my favorite place in the world before they showed up. Now it felt like I was renting a room in my own house. Sarah finally sat me down one night after they'd gone to bed. She whispered, "This isn't okay. They didn't ask, they don't contribute, and they're treating us like kids in our own home." I nodded, but part of me still felt like the little kid being told to keep the peace. Old habits die hard, you know? But then December hit, and that's when things really started to heat up. Christmas was coming, my birthday was around the corner, and I knew this was going to be a test. For the first time in years, I had already decided I was going to draw a line. Just one simple request: don't schedule family Christmas on my birthday. That's it. The bar couldn't be lower. So one night at dinner, I cleared my throat and said, "Hey, Mom, Dad, about Christmas plans this year. Can we please do the family trip any day except the 28th? I just want to actually have my birthday for once." Dad grunted, didn't even look up from his plate. Mom gave me that fake smile she does. "Of course, honey. We'll see what we can do. We'll try." Sarah jumped in, because she knew I needed backup. He hasn't had a real birthday in years. Just one day, that's all he's asking. Mom put her fork down like we'd just insulted her cooking. "Well, we'll figure it out. But Christmas is about family. Don't be difficult." I said, "I'm not being difficult. I'm asking for the bare minimum." She did that tight-lipped smile again, the one that basically means, "This conversation is over because I don't like it." And that's when I knew they weren't going to respect it. They were living in my house, eating my food, trashing my boundaries, and they still couldn't give me one damn day. I wanted to believe it. I really did. 34 years old, still holding out hope that my parents might just once prioritize me over Christmas and my sister. Dumb, I know, but hope makes fools out of us all. A week later, I get the call. I was on my way home from work when my phone buzzed. It was Mom. I pick up. She's all chipper. "Hi, honey. How's my favorite son?" By the way, I'm the only son, so that's not actually a compliment. "Good," I said cautiously. "What's up?" "Oh, I just wanted to talk about our holiday plans," she said. "So, your sister can only have Derek's son on the 28th this year, and of course we want him there for Christmas. So we've decided we'll just do the family Christmas on the 28th. Dead silence from me. Like, did I mishear? "Mom," I finally said, "the 28th is literally my birthday. That's the one day I specifically asked you not to pick." She let out this sigh, the kind of sigh that says she's already decided I'm being dramatic. "Zrina, don't be selfish. It's easier this way. Everyone will be there. You can still celebrate your birthday later." I pulled into my driveway and just sat there with the phone pressed to my ear, staring at the house my parents were freeloading in, trying not to explode. "So, let me get this straight," I said. "You sold your house to throw Emily a party. You've been living in my house for free, ignoring every boundary we have, and now you're scheduling Christmas on my birthday after I literally begged you not to." My father, who had apparently been listening in, shouted from the background, "Don't talk to your mother like that. Christmas isn't a day you celebrate a birthday at. Stop making it about you." I laughed. Couldn't help it. Stop making it about me? It is about me. It's my birthday. That's literally the definition of about me. Mom snapped, "You're 34 years old. Birthdays aren't important at your age. Christmas is bigger than one person's birthday." "Cool," I said finally, my voice flat. "Do whatever you want. But I'm not going." Mom tried to backpedal. Oh, don't be silly. Of course you'll come. Everyone will be there. Your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. You don't want to miss that. Yeah, I said. I really don't want to spend my birthday watching spoiled kids open gifts while everyone pretends I don't exist. Hard pass. Don't you dare, she started. But I hung up. I sat there in the car for a good 5 minutes, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Then Sarah came outside, saw my face, and asked, "They did it again, didn't they?" I nodded. "Christmas is on the 28th. Surprise, surprise." Sarah shook her head. "After you told them not to? After everything?" "Yup," I said. "And apparently I'm selfish for even asking." She sat in the passenger seat and just stared at me for a while. "So what are you going to do?" I didn't answer right away. The truth was, I didn't know. Part of me wanted to just cave like always, go along with it, swallow the resentment, old habits. But another part of me, the louder part, was done. The image of Emily waving her engagement ring at my wedding kept replaying in my head. The way my dad toasted her instead of me. The way my mom shrugged at the Santa cake and said, "It's all the same." I turned to Sarah and said, "I think I'm done. I think this is the year I finally say no." She smiled a little, like she'd been waiting for me to say that. "Good. You deserve to have a birthday. Not Christmas leftovers. Not whatever they decide you get. A real birthday." "Yeah," I said. "But if I say no, I mean, they're living here. It's going to get messy." Sarah shrugged. "So let it get messy. They already made it messy the second they moved in without asking." She was right. Of course she was. And for the first time in my life, I felt this weird calm settle in. Like I'd finally stopped begging for scraps and realized I didn't need their permission. I walked into my own house like I was walking into enemy territory. They were on the couch watching some Hallmark Christmas movie, eating popcorn out of my bowl like they'd bought it themselves. Sarah gave me that look from the kitchen, the "don't lose it right now" look. I sat down across from them and said, "So, you're really doing Christmas on my birthday?" Dad muted the TV. "Don't start. It's easier this way." "Easier for who?" "Not for me." Mom jumped in. "It's not always about you. We have to think about Emily. She has Derek's son that weekend, and we want him to feel included." I couldn't help myself. I laughed. "So you're telling me the comfort of a 12-year-old you see twice a month is more important than your own son's birthday?" "Got it. Solid parenting choice." Mom's face tightened. "Don't twist my words." "I don't have to twist them, Mom. You're already doing the yoga routine yourself." Dad pointed his finger like he was about to lay down the law. "You're being disrespectful. But what's new? You always have been." I leaned back in my chair and said, "Nah, I'm done with you. You guys have ignored my birthday my whole life. You hijacked my wedding for Emily's engagement. You sold your house without telling me and moved into mine like I'm running a hotel. And now you want me to smile while you erase my birthday again? Nope, not happening." The room went dead silent. Even the Hallmark actors on TV looked uncomfortable. Mom crossed her arms. "So what are you saying? You're not coming?" "I'm not coming," I said. "And if you insist on doing it on the 28th, then you won't be staying here either." Dad scoffed. "You wouldn't kick your own parents out right before Christmas." I stared at him. "Try me." Mom gasped like I'd just announced I was joining the circus. "How could you say that? We're your parents. You can't treat us like strangers." I stood up. "Funny, because that's exactly how you've treated me my whole life, like a stranger. Except, one you can sponge off whenever you need." Sarah put her hand on my arm, not to stop me, but to show me she was with me, and that gave me the push I needed. I walked into the guest room, Sarah's old office, and started pulling their suitcases out of the closet. Dad followed me, red in the face. "You're overreacting." "Am I?" I said, tossing his shirts into the bag. "Because I feel like I'm finally reacting just enough." Mom hovered in the doorway, hands on her hips. "Where do you expect us to go? We don't have a house. Maybe you should have thought of that before you sold it to pay for Emily's party." I shot back. "Not my problem." I dragged the bags to the living room and set them by the door. "You've got a ton of family. Call one of them. Maybe Emily will let you stay, since you clearly love her so much." Dad's face was red like a stop sign. "You're being cruel." "No," I said. "This is me finally matching your energy." They just stood there, sputtering. Sarah stayed behind me, arms crossed, glaring at them like a guard dog. That night after they stormed out, yes, with their bags, yes, Mom still trying to guilt me with, "You'll regret this," I sat down with Sarah and opened up the family group chat. I typed, "Since Mom and Dad decided to schedule Christmas on my birthday again, I won't be going. I'll be celebrating my birthday at home instead." Anyone who actually cares is welcome to stop by. I stared at it for a second, hit send, and tossed my phone on the table. Sarah raised her eyebrows. You really did it. Yep, I said. And you know what? I feel amazing. 5 minutes later, the replies started rolling in. Aunt Lisa, wait, on your birthday? Didn't you tell them not to do that this year? Me. Yep, Uncle Joe. So they sold their house for Emily's party, moved into yours, and still ignored your birthday? Classy. Cousin Mark, I might swing by yours instead. Sick of eating turkey 3 times a week. Emily finally chimed in with, wow, way to make this all about you again. Christmas is about family. I wrote back, yeah, and my birthday is about me. Crazy concept, huh? She left me on red. My father jumped in with, don't disrespect your mother. She's trying her best. Uncle Joe replied, her best? This is her best? Then her best sucks. At that point, I was actually laughing. Sarah leaned over, read the messages, and said, your family has always noticed this. I mean, it's hard not to. I never expected anyone to take my side. For years, it's been, don't upset your mom, and you know how Emily is. But seeing my family actually call them out in the chat, that was new. And it felt damn good. By the time I went to bed, at least 5 relatives had said they'd come to our place instead. Nothing huge, but enough to make my parents sweat. And I knew they would. I lay in bed next to Sarah and said, they're gonna lose it when half the family doesn't show up. She smiled. Good. About time. December 28th rolled around, and for the first time in years, I wasn't dreading it. Normally, I'd wake up on my birthday already bracing for disappointment. But this time, I felt free. Like, yeah, today's my day, and no one's gonna take it. Sarah baked me a cake that actually said happy birthday on it. Shocking, I know. She even put candles on it, because apparently in my family, candles were considered an optional feature. We had balloons taped to the wall, music playing. Nothing crazy, just a real birthday for once. Around noon, the doorbell rang. First one in was Aunt Lisa, holding a bag with a little wrapped box. I figured I'd come where the actual birthday boy is, she said with a grin. Inside was a pair of new headphones. Nothing crazy, but thoughtful. Already more thought than my parents had put into any of my birthdays for the past decade. Not long after, Uncle Joe and his wife showed up. He walked in smirking and said, so your mom called me this morning, whining about how you stole Christmas. I told her, pretty sure you stole his birthday first. She hung up on me. He handed me an envelope and winked. I opened it later. It was tickets to a game I'd always wanted to see. But Uncle Joe wasn't done. Not even close. By 1 p.m., he pulled me aside and said, grab your coat. We're not sitting around your living room for this. I booked out the country club for your birthday. I laughed, thinking he was joking. He wasn't. He'd called in a favor. A last-minute cancellation opened the ballroom. By 2 p.m., we rolled up to this massive decorated hall. Balloons, banners, actual catering, a DJ. The banner literally said, happy birthday, finally about time. My jaw hit the floor. Cousins, aunts, uncles, even people I hadn't seen in years were there. All of them smiling, hugging me, handing me actual birthday cards. It was surreal. Meanwhile, my phone kept buzzing. Mark was feeding us updates from Christmas at my Aunt Stacy's. Apparently, the vibe was dead. People were whispering, asking my parents, wait, isn't today you son's birthday? Why are we doing this now? Mom snapped, he's being selfish. He chose not to come. One cousin fired back, no, he asked you not to do this on his birthday, and you ignored him? Boom. Right in their faces. Dad tried to smooth it over, saying, we celebrate birthdays later. That's how we do it. Uncle Joe, yep, the same Uncle Joe who was standing next to me at my actual birthday party, had apparently roasted him earlier in the group chat. No, that's how you do it. The rest of us know how calendars work. Back at the country club, I was eating steak off a plate with my name on the menu. Sarah leaned over and whispered, this is insane. They're going to lose it when they see the pictures. She wasn't wrong. By 4 p.m., Facebook and Instagram were full of posts from my birthday party. Photos of me cutting a real cake, people cheering, the giant banner in the background. Hashtags like #best birthday popped up. Family members were tagging each other. And guess who saw it? Yep, my parents and Emily. Emily blew up the group chat first. Are you kidding me? You all ditched Christmas for this? Aunt Lisa. Not ditched. Upgraded. Emily. This is ridiculous. It's not all about him. Me. Today it actually is. Shocking, I know. Uncle Joe dropped the hammer. Honestly, best holiday in years. No Santa cake, no drama, just celebrating the guy who's been ignored too long. If that bothers you, maybe take a look in the mirror. Dad tried to step in. You're embarrassing your mother. She worked hard on this Christmas. Mark replied instantly. Worked hard at what? Scheduling it on her son's birthday after he begged her not to? Yeah, real impressive. And then, Mom left the chat. Emily left right after. Dad stayed, but silent. When I tell you I laughed, I mean I laughed so hard Sarah had to hand me a glass of water. That night, under a shower of confetti and people actually singing happy birthday to me for once, I realized I wasn't the background character anymore. Emily wasn't the star. Mom wasn't the director. Dad wasn't the referee. For the first time, the spotlight was mine. And the best part? My parents were 4 hours away, stuck at their half-empty Christmas at my Aunt Stacy's place, seething, surrounded by untouched food and awkward silence. Mark's mom even texted him a picture of their giant turkey, sitting cold on the counter with the caption, "So much for Christmas dinner." Sarah leaned close, smiling, and said, "This is karma. Right here, right now." She was right. So after Uncle Joe's over-the-top birthday party, Sarah and I rolled back home around midnight. We were tired but happy. Balloons in the back seat, leftover cake box on my lap. For once, I actually felt celebrated. It was weird, but good. They'd already moved out with their bags days earlier. Tonight, though, they were back on my porch. And sure enough, there they were, sitting like raccoons digging through garbage. Mom, Dad, and Emily, bags piled up around them, blankets draped over the chairs like they'd been camping out. I groaned. Of course! Mom jumped up the second she saw me. How could you leave us out here like this? We're your family. Emily chimed in. You're disgusting. You embarrassed us in front of everyone, and now you think you can just waltz in after your little party like you're some kind of king? Dad stood with his arms crossed. You're selfish, son. Real selfish. We had nowhere to go, and you just dumped us out here. I looked at Sarah, and she muttered, "Don't even let them inside." So I didn't. I unlocked the door, turned back, and said, "You sold your house for Emily's party. You ignored me for decades. You trashed my wedding, my birthdays, and then moved into my house uninvited. And when I asked for one tiny boundary, you blew it. So yeah, you're not welcome here anymore. Try a hotel." Mom gasped like I'd told her I was disowning her. "Do you hear yourself? This is elder abuse?" I laughed. "You're 60, not 80, and definitely not helpless. Go call Derek to pick you up. He owes you for that engagement circus." That's when things escalated. Emily pulled out her phone and said, "Fine. If you won't let us in, I'm calling the police. You can explain to them why you abandoned your parents on Christmas week." Sarah rolled her eyes. "Oh, this is going to be good." 10 minutes later, a cruiser pulled up. 2 officers got out, clearly bracing for some dramatic nonsense. One of them asked, "What seems to be the problem here?" Mom rushed forward, fake tears already running. "Officer, my son threw us out of the house, left us stranded in the cold, and now refuses to let us in. We're his family. We have nowhere else to go." My father added, "It's his duty to take care of us. He's abandoning us. He's entitled." The cop raised an eyebrow, then turned to me. "Sir, is this your residence?" "Yep," I said, handing over my ID with the address. "This is my house. They don't live here. They showed up after selling their place, and I allowed them to stay temporarily. But I've told them that arrangement is over. They no longer have permission to be here, and I'd like them removed from the property." The second cop scribbled something down and looked at my parents. "Do you guys have proof you live here? Lease? Mail with your name on it?" Emily jumped in. "They're family. They don't need paperwork. He's lying. He's just being selfish because Mom wanted to host Christmas." The officer smirked like he'd heard this kind of family soap opera 1,000 times. "Ma'am, that's not how property works. If you're not on the lease or deed, and the homeowner tells you to leave, you leave. Otherwise, it's trespassing." Dad's face went red. "This is ridiculous. He's our son. He owes us." The cop shrugged. "Legally, he doesn't owe you squat," Mom wailed. "But it's Christmas." The first cop deadpanned, "Ma'am, Christmas doesn't override property rights." At that point, Sarah whispered to me, "This is the best birthday gift ever." The cops gave them a choice: pack up and go quietly or get cited for trespassing. Emily tried to argue, but the officer cut her off with, "If you don't leave when the owner asks, it's trespassing. We'll document and cite." So there it was. My parents and Emily loading their bags back into the car they apparently had stashed down the street, while the neighbors peeked out their windows. Mom kept muttering, "Ungrateful. Cruel." Dad was silent, and Emily was scrolling her phone, probably drafting her next woe is me social media post. The cops waved me goodnight and said, "Sorry about the circus. Happens more often than you'd think." Then they left. I walked back inside, shut the door, and just leaned against it, laughing until my stomach hurt. Sarah was doubled over too. They really called the cops on their own son because you wouldn't let them freeload? That's... wow. The next morning, it got even worse for them. Screenshots of the Facebook posts from my birthday were still circulating. Photos of me cutting cake, the banner at the country club, people dancing, laughing, eating steak. Caption, can't wait for next year's birthday. Meanwhile, Emily had gone nuclear online. Her status read, some people think birthdays are more important than family. Disgusting. I'm done with fake relatives. The comments? Not what she expected. One cousin wrote, nah, I was at the party. Best time in years. Another, funny how you call family fake when you hijacked his wedding. Dozens of likes on those. Emily stopped replying after that. As for mom and dad, word spread fast that they'd called the cops on me. By New Year's, half the family was roasting them in private group chats. Uncle Joe sent me a text. They're a laughingstock now. Enjoy the peace. See you next year for birthday 35. My treat again. So here's where we landed. My parents tried to play the victim, called the cops on me, and ended up being escorted off my property like misbehaving kids. Emily torched what little credibility she had left online. Right now, my parents are holed up in some budget hotel on the edge of town, burning through what little cash they have left. Who knows how long that lasts before they're calling around again, looking for another couch to crash on. And me, I had my best birthday ever. A luxury party, family support, and the satisfaction of finally standing my ground. Not bad for the forgotten son. Lesson learned? Sometimes the only way to deal with entitled parents is to let them dig their own hole. And if they want to call the cops to help with the digging, even better.